In December of 2010, a police officer searching for one missing woman found 4, then 5, then 8, then 11. For over a decade, Long Island lived beside a killer no one could name. How could this many people disappear without anyone noticing? And how does a man live an ordinary life? A wife, 2 kids, a job in Manhattan, while investigators spend 13 years hunting for a monster hiding in plain sight. This is the story of Gilgo Beach. Gilgo Beach sits along Ocean Parkway, a thin strip of barrier island on New York's South Shore. Dunes, scrub brush, and a highway that runs for miles with almost no houses in sight. In May of 2010, a 24-year-old woman named Shannan Gilbert vanished after leaving a client's home nearby, having called 911 saying she believed someone was after her. Her disappearance triggered a search. That search is what changed everything. While searching for Gilbert that December, an officer and his cadaver dog found the remains of a woman wrapped in burlap along Ocean Parkway. Investigators believed it was Gilbert. It wasn't. Within days, 3 more sets of remains were found nearby, all young women, all discovered close together. Police soon called them the Gilgo 4. Then, the search widened. Over the following months and years, the number of remains found along this stretch of coastline would climb to 11, discovered between 1996 and 2011. Not every case would ultimately be connected to the same person, but together they turned a missing persons search into one of the largest homicide investigations in Long Island's history. Before they were part of a case file, they were people. Melissa Barthélemy, 24. Megan Waterman, 22. Amber Lynn Costello, 27. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25. Jessica Taylor, 20. Sandra Costilla, 28. Valerie Mack, 24. And Karen Vergata, 34. Most were young women from the New York City area. Several worked in the sex industry, a detail investigators would later say made them, in the killer's eyes, targets who might not be reported missing right away. They had families, mothers who called them every week, sisters who filed missing person reports that, for years, went nowhere. These women were not defined by how they died. They were defined by the people who never stopped looking for them. For more than a decade, the case stalled. Multiple police jurisdictions were involved. Early leads went cold. No DNA match, no suspect, no answers, while families held vigils year after year. In 2016, Suffolk County formed a dedicated task force to re-examine the case from the ground up. Then, in 2022, a new district attorney assigned fresh investigators, and they went back through old evidence with new eyes. That decision would change everything. According to prosecutors, investigators began focusing on a Manhattan architect named Rex Heuermann, a married father of 2 living in Massapequa Park, New York. Investigators say cell phone data placed a device near several victims' last known movements and matching the timing of certain disappearances. Prosecutors allege Heuermann used burner phones and cash purchases to avoid detection for years. In July of 2023, after what officials called a critical DNA breakthrough, investigators arrested Heuermann outside his office in Midtown Manhattan. He pleaded not guilty. The case that had haunted Long Island for 13 years finally had a name attached to it. Prosecutors built their case on several categories of evidence. First, DNA. Investigators say genetic material recovered from a discarded pizza crust matched hair fibers found on several victims' remains. Second, phone records, tracing a device near key locations at critical times. Third, purchase and rental records tied to vehicles reportedly seen near several disappearances. Fourth, search warrants executed at Heuermann's home and a storage unit, where investigators say they recovered digital evidence, including thousands of violent search queries. Prosecutors were careful to note, this evidence built a case. It did not, on its own, constitute a conviction. That would come later, in court. Investigators say the case accelerated in early 2023 as the DNA analysis narrowed their list of suspects to one name. Surveillance teams reportedly tracked Heuermann's movements for weeks before his arrest. On July 13, 2023, he was taken into custody outside his Manhattan office, ending a search that had spanned 3 different decades. In the months that followed, prosecutors added additional charges, connecting him to more of the women found along Ocean Parkway. On April 8, 2026, nearly 3 years after his arrest, Rex Heuermann changed his plea. In a Suffolk County courtroom, he pleaded guilty to murdering 7 women: Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Jessica Taylor, Sandra Costilla, and Valerie Mack. He also admitted, in court, to killing an 8th woman, Karen Vergata, a murder he was never formally charged with. Asked how he killed each of them, he answered with a single word: strangulation. On June 17, 2026, Heuermann was sentenced to life in prison. 3 consecutive life sentences, followed by additional decades-long terms. As part of the agreement, he must now cooperate with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. Heuermann's guilty plea closed the case against him. But it didn't close the entire Gilgo Beach story. Of the 11 sets of remains found along this stretch of coastline since 1996, only 8 have been connected to Heuermann. Investigators have been careful to note the other cases remain open. Not every victim found near Gilgo Beach was necessarily killed by the same person. For some families, the questions didn't end with a verdict. They're still waiting for their own answers. The case has a name now, a sentence, an ending of sorts. But for the families who spent 13 years